Through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it loud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key. Make the big switch. Power to the people. Time to teach the rich.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Crazy Cryptonaut channel. I am Zester, and thank you so much for joining me on, I guess, what we'll call the inaugural morning Crazy Cryptonaut stream. I am joined this morning by a one and only Tommy, who is very confused by me being on stream at a different time. All the kitty cats are probably going to be a little confused for the next couple of streams. They're used to this being their time where they don't have to be on camera or anything like that. But I'm certain that they will adapt. And Tommy loves his camera time, so he is definitely not going to in any way disapprove. But how is everyone doing? How is everyone doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Gonna go through, say hello to everyone this morning, and then we're going to go ahead and jump into it because there's a few very exciting pieces of news, especially for all of us XRP holders that live in the United States. We may finally have a legitimate staking option so that we can start earning some passive income, something that our European friends and I believe Canadian 51st state members, as well as most everyone in the Western world, in Europe and everywhere else around the world, they've been staking and earning 10+% on their XRP and XLM for the past couple of years. And as Americans, we just haven't gotten that opportunity. But it seems as if that has changed. And we've got a bunch more news about World Liberty Financial and the Trump family and all kinds of other things. But we will jump into that right after I get through saying hello and seeing if we have any good questions already sitting in the chat. Oh, good morning, Mile High Trish. Thank you, Trish and Kukla, so much for everything you do. Aloha, Quantum Healing. Aloha, Nancy. I hope you're having an amazing, amazing morning. Oh, good morning, Arinka and Randy. Irish Guy 13 XRP. I agree. I'm ready for it. Rafe Damama, love your podcast. Always learn. We'll have to miss one on Wednesdays, but we'll catch the video later. That is no worries, Rafe. And I'm still looking at the other times throughout the week. Sue Bonhomme, actually, and that's something that I'm planning on talking about during the stream today, something that I was going to show everyone. And just as a matter of a little bit of a learning experience, I was actually going to show people how those things are generated and how to actually ask a question to an artificial intelligence in order to get something like what you're looking for. And so I actually plan on talking about why there's that random guy in my thumbnail when I get to that point in the show today. Was going to try and help people who are maybe AI is just terrifying, which it is terrifying. That is 100% true. Artificial intelligence is scary, but we live in a world where we're better off knowing how to use it. And so I was going to show a few different ways to actually prompt and talk with Grok or ChatGPT or any of the other AIs later in the show. And that is where our random guy came from. Our random guy came from me actually putting in words, trying to describe myself to a degree. And then this is what I got. This was my first attempt trying to describe myself to the AI in this chat. And that's what I managed to get. But we'll talk about that one once we get through all the crypto news. Good morning there, Tahoe. Hey, welcome. Love Vino. I'm a newbie here, but love listening to Zester. Love Vino. Thank you so much for joining us this morning or afternoon or whatever time it is where you're at. Thank you so much for joining us for it. All right, though, I did notice as we were going through that we had some questions that are about to pop up in the chat. So I'm going to hit those. Pop IDC, has anyone in here been involved with Quantum Stellar initiatives and the group funds? Popeye, I have not. I would actually be very interested in kind of learning about what that entails or involves. But no, that would be the first time I've heard of that one. That would be. Tim Barnfield. Well, that actually jumps us right in, and I guess we'll go ahead and jump into one of our first stories of today, and we'll talk about that one with the actual articles pulled up and ready. And so, Flare Network. Flare Network is a separate blockchain. And so, to make this simpler, Ethereum is one blockchain, Bitcoin is one blockchain, XRP is another blockchain, and XLM is another blockchain. They're all separate. They don't necessarily interact. That's a big difference between Ethereum and Binance and Polygon and the other Ethereum-based or EVM-based blockchains. They interact with each other. Bitcoin and Ethereum do not interact. Now, Flare and XRP is the same idea. They don't interact well. They're not designed to be buddies. But what Flare is doing is very interesting, and it's something that has been done already with Bitcoin and Ethereum on other blockchains. What they're doing is Flare is saying, hey, Flare offers all of these different staking options and ways to earn passive income by providing your money, your crypto, to be used, say, for liquidity. So to assist with trades back and forth, or for lending, in order for you to lend the money and then be paid back in interest. There's a variety of different ways that money can make more money. And in that way, Flare Network specializes in that. That's what they do. They specialize in taking and providing a passive style income for your assets. So what Flare Network is actually doing here is they are taking XRP, and they are essentially, when you buy Flare XRP or wrapped XRP on the Flare Network, you are buying a stable coin. You know, the same way that your USDT or USDC or RLUSD, those are stable coins pegged to the US dollar. And that means that in a bank account, they have a buttload of dollars, or they have treasury bonds, they have something to back it up. And then they issue you a token that is a one-to-one token for the US dollar. Now, this is the same exact idea. What Flare is doing is Flare is buying XRP, and they're putting it into an XRP wallet. And then they're locking that wallet. And then they're making one Flare XRP on the Flare network. Your XRP is still sitting on the XRP ledger, sitting on that blockchain. But you are now able to go around and use your one wrapped XRP in order to participate in different staking options. And so this is a very important one and a very complicated one when you're first approaching it. But effectively, it is nothing different than having a dollar in a bank account and saying, hey, you have $1 on your debit card. They are being represented and backed up by what's held in the bank account. It's the same idea here. There are XRP being held in an XRP wallet, and you are being issued one wrapped XRP. When you want your real XRP back, you go to them and you give them your wrapped XRP, and they give you back your real XRP on the XRP ledger. So, how this program ends up working is still yet to be seen. We don't know how good this flare process will end up being, but it's very exciting for all of us in the United States because everybody else has been using Nexo or a variety of other platforms to earn a passive income on their XRP and XLM for many years. We've been denied access to that by our federal government. That is ending, and we no longer are being banned from these platforms. And now we're starting to see services be offered specifically for us. They want our XRP. They want us to lock up our XRP on their blockchain. It's a great thing for them. They're getting more capital, more liquidity. They're getting more trading fees, and they're happy as clams. We get to also start earning a passive income on our assets, which makes us happy as clams. But this does remind me, after saying all of that, I should make certain to specify that all opinions shared on the Crazy Cryptonaut channel by myself or by any articles or anything that I bring up are entirely designed for educational and entertainment purposes. I am not a financial advisor. I am just a guy who has spent way too much time in the crypto industry, but I am in no way a financial advisor. So please consult with a professional before making any major decisions. It's an important one. I always try to forget. Always try to forget. All right, let's look for the next question, and then we'll jump back and forth because I think some of the questions today are actually going to directly correlate with a lot of our articles that I have up for the news already. So, hey, Leslie K 1776. Well, welcome, and thank you so much for saying that. Please do, if you don't mind, hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. The algorithm tends to appreciate it quite a lot. Hey, Tahoe, Zester Z, this time works better for those out west. Thanks. Hey, I'm glad to do it. I'm glad to do it. It's a time that works better for me. And so if it works well for everyone else, then that's having your cake and eating it too. Absolutely perfect. Good morning, Bear. Welcome, Bear. All right. Trying to catch up and continue looking through for questions. Sorry for those that I miss on saying a good morning or a hello. All right. Mimsy, I really appreciate your name, by the way. For anyone that's ever watched a lot of South Park, very inappropriate show, but I enjoyed it a lot, especially when I was younger. And one of the characters' names is Mimsy. And so the second I see that, I get a little flashback to a simpler time in my life. But Mimsy, let me get back to concentrating. My question at Zester, it's amazing that I can even chat because I'm not a computer whiz, but don't have one anyway, just my little phone. Years ago, my friend helped me with Bitcoin on Coinbase. Uh-oh. Well, what happened from there, Mimsy? I'm looking for the follow-up on the story. And you did okay. And Mimsy says, I did the learning lessons on Coinbase. Everyone out there, please be doing your learning exercises on Coinbase. It is free money. They hand out free money on Coinbase. It is very easy to acquire. And sometimes you can even get pretty large amounts of free crypto by going in and signing up for a free trial and then just immediately canceling it. Stuff like that. But also you can just answer little questionnaires. So when you log into your Coinbase account, make certain that you're going and checking out your learning rewards tab each day or at least once a month because they tend to rotate. But so you were doing your learning lessons. That's awesome. You got free crypto. You eventually ended up with XRP and Bitcoin. Now you don't know what to do. No wallet, have a credit card with Bitcoin and used it once. And we continue. All right. But Mimsy, but now I have no bank. I lost my standing. So here I sit, but can't spend. I used Bitcoin to trade for my XRP, but that took time to figure out on this phone. All right, Mimsy. So I see what happened. You bought or you connected only a credit or debit card to Coinbase. And this is great for when you want to buy. The problem is it's not exactly easy to send money to a debit card. From the financial system of today, that's not really a normal practice. And so you set up with a debit or credit card and you started doing your lessons, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you ever do want to be able to sell your crypto for cash, Mimsy, you want it in your bank account, you are going to have to connect a bank account to Coinbase. I believe you can also talk to customer service and request a check to be issued to you, but that is an insanely difficult process. They do not want to do it. I think they only offer it because of some kind of legal rule that forces them to do it, but that does not force them to do it in any type of a timely manner. And so I would highly recommend, Mimsy, going through it and looking at the different banking options that will connect with Coinbase if you do want to be able to remove money to your bank account. Now, if you're not trying to get money from crypto to US dollars and you're just trying to know where you need to go to store them, well, Mimsy, the next step is 100% to get your own wallet. And when I say that, there are a variety of options. You can spend money and get a hardware wallet, which is always what I tend to recommend because it's the safest long-term solution. Or you can get a free wallet. You can get any of the wallets like a MetaMask, or there are a bunch of different XRP related wallets that are free on your phone. There are a lot of them. I would not recommend doing that if you're planning on storing your crypto for the future. I would highly recommend getting a hardware wallet. And the reason is because that investment, and yes, it will be $60, $50. You can get some cheaper out there, or you could go as expensive as a couple $100. But what I always try to point everyone towards is that if you're saving it for the long term, and this is money you intend to build up, wait for prices to go up, wait to be able to spend more money, etc. on it, it's worth shelling out the money. Now, if you only have $50 in crypto, you probably don't need to worry about buying a $50 hardware wallet. But whenever you hit that point in terms of your crypto holdings where you genuinely look at the price tag of the hardware wallet and say, this would ensure that I'm secure and good forever, at what point does it, does that make sense for you personally? And that's entirely a personal decision. I know some people who keep tens of thousands of dollars on the Coinbase exchange, and they've never had a problem with it. And they don't worry about it, and they don't want to be the custodian of their crypto. Some people do that, and that is personally their choice. And you can absolutely do exactly that. Coinbase is moving towards FDIC insurance. Very soon, Coinbase is going to be just as safe as keeping your money in the bank. Very soon. It's already pretty darn close, but it's not quite there yet. But what it's always going to not be able to do is to protect you from any degree of government overreach or oversight. And so in that regard, I, from an ideological standpoint, would still highly advise that you consider looking at a hardware wallet. But from your prior comment, talking about technology and it being complicated and not having a computer, you may be in the category, Mimsy, where it is safer for you to just keep it on Coinbase and add some when you can, trade some whenever you see an opportunity, or be able to withdraw it directly to your ledger. Right now, at the point in time we're at in the evolution of the cryptocurrency markets, you need a centralized exchange account. That may change in the future, but right now you need it. And the reason that you need it is because you can buy crypto without one, but you cannot sell your crypto to US dollars without one. Not legally. You can illegally sell your crypto, but you cannot legally sell your crypto unless you're going through a centralized exchange nowadays. And so in that regard, it really comes down to what are your goals? If your goals are not to cash any crypto out, then you don't need to connect a bank account. But if you're going ahead and setting up and planning for the future, eventually you're going to want to maybe spend that money on something else. And you're going to need to be able to bring it into a bank account. That's where you're going to have needed that centralized exchange to be hooked up. All right. Mimsy, I would highly consider looking towards a bank account. There are a few different options nowadays that you can connect to your Coinbase. I would just recommend it more as a matter of having a off-board option, a way to get out of crypto, because that's ultimately the goal. We're moving towards a world that's controlled by digital currencies. And all of our currencies will end up essentially becoming digital currencies on a blockchain. But we're not there yet. And there's still going to be an evolution. There's going to take time. It's going to be progressive. In that regard, I think it's better to have a way to get off the fiat for now. Whereas sometime in the possibly very near future, you will not need to have to set up a centralized exchange. Banks and centralized exchanges are the same thing. Wells Fargo and Coinbase are not different. They both offer the same things. They store your money. They offer credit and loans. They allow you to exchange between different currencies. Think in Wells Fargo, you could exchange if you had a foreign currency account. You could exchange from US dollars to euros or British pounds. And then you could exchange back and hold them in the same account. That's what Coinbase is doing. Just change the euro to a Bitcoin and change the US dollar to an Ethereum and change the XRP to a Great British Pound. It's the same thing. They are going to, and it's already happening. You can see it with the Trump family's decisions on their investments and where they're moving in terms of their crypto. It's going to become the same. Your bank and your centralized exchange in the future will be indistinguishable. We may have one that's more specialized in crypto or one that's more specialized in traditional fiat, but it's going to happen. And as that begins to happen, all of your traditionally fiat currencies are also going to be being digitalized. And so we're going to see these worlds merge. You will be able to hold your tokenized gold alongside your, say, your stablecoin euros and your stablecoin US dollars and your Bitcoin and your Ethereum, and they'll all be held inside of the same account, protected by the banking system. That's not today, but that is the very, very near future. Oh, Nature Girl, morning to you, Nature Girl. Nature Girl says, morning, everyone. I had a really good question asked Zester after his last podcast, but now I can't remember what it was. It happens to all of us, Nature Girl. It happens. If you think of it, I'll be happy to jump on it. Hey, Kukla, definitely. It is a happy, happy Trump Day to all. Not Hump Day, but Trump Day. All right. Going to be catching up, continuing to look through for questions, and then we're going to hit some of these articles real fast. All right. Quantum healing question. QQ2. Do you see us holding Bitcoin? I see rumors that we need to move out of Bitcoin and into XRP at some point. Truth or BS? Quantum healing. I always take the perspective of we're not going to have just one winner. This is not a race. Well, it is a race. It's definitely a race to controlling the largest market share, but it's not a race where there's only going to be one winner. We're going to have winners all up and down the board. And in that regard, I do not see a reason to flee Bitcoin at this point in time at all. I see it as being a very necessary part of the future economic system because Bitcoin is truly unstoppable from a singular government standpoint. No one government can do anything to shut Bitcoin down. It is global. It is 100% decentralized. And what I use as my example for why Bitcoin will always exist is I use what solution it provides. Look at Venezuela. Now, the Venezuelan government under Maduro, and well, I shouldn't say just under Maduro, under Chavez, under over a long line of particularly incompetent leaders, has managed to absolutely destroy the value of the bolivar, of their national currency. The Venezuelan people, what did they start doing? They started putting their money in cryptocurrencies. And they got to a point where they were adopting crypto at a higher rate than any other country on the planet. Why is that important? Because Bitcoin gave the Venezuelans a way out. It is a currency that cannot really be sanctioned or stopped. And so just because the United States is mad at Venezuela doesn't mean that Venezuelans have a hard time or can't acquire Bitcoin or that it can affect them. It doesn't. Now, think about this from the situation of XRP. XRP is a corporation. I can go and find them. The government can go and find them. If they wanted to shut down Venezuelans from being able to use the XRP ledger, it is possible. It's very doable. And in that regard, we're always going to have a need for Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the one and only at this point that doesn't have anything to hit. There's no one to go after. There's no one that can stop it. Ultimately, you would need to hack 1 million plus computers across the world who have advanced security protocols. You would have to hack them all at the exact same nanosecond. And that is far outside of the technical capabilities of anyone at this point in time. And that's where you're always going to see a need for Bitcoin. I do believe that over time, Bitcoin will become less important because we will have more strong fundamental value in other areas of the cryptocurrency or really blockchain technology. And so I do think that Bitcoin's not going to remain the end all be all, but it doesn't make sense from a libertarian standpoint for Bitcoin to ever go away. It is like the ultimate, it's the ultimate little angel on the shoulder of governments, because governments know that if they piss it off and they piss off their people to too far of a degree, that the people have a way out. They have an option. And now as we move towards a more digitalized future, that could change. There could be other cryptos that offer that same way out. But right now, it's Bitcoin. Look at Venezuela, look at Nigeria, look at Iran, look at Zimbabwe, and this story goes on and on and on. If there are major inflation or economic issues in the country, Bitcoin adoption skyrockets because Bitcoin has been the ultimate hedge against inflation over the past 10 years. The ultimate. It has surpassed gold. It has surpassed silver. It has surpassed everything. Nothing is even close to the decision to have invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago. That's because Bitcoin is following the inflationary cycle. Bitcoin will always continue to gain in value while countries continue to inflate the value of their currency. Bitcoin will continue to never have a ceiling until governments stop printing money. When governments stop printing money, then Bitcoin is going to have a bit of a reckoning occur because it's primarily gaining value based off of one, adoption, and that adoption is primarily being driven by inflation. All right, Gary Green, what does it mean when some XRP is burned in a transaction? Gary, whenever you send XRP, you actually pay what is colloquially known as gas. And what that really means is transaction fees. And those transaction fees differ based off of how busy the network is. This is designed from a purely capitalistic standpoint to incentivize validators to do the best job. They get paid more if it's busier. The same idea that if you order an Uber during the busiest hours, your Uber costs more. Same idea, but with XRP, because the fees are so small, it's kind of negligible. But what's occurring, Gary, is you are actually paying the blockchain for sending your transaction. That XRP is not necessarily being burnt. It's being spent to pay your gas fees. And so whenever you hear gas in the cryptocurrency world, what they're saying is transaction fees. And those transaction fees are paid in the native currency of the blockchain. So in the case of XRP, you would then be spending XRP to send XRP. Ethereum, you spend Ethereum to send it. Bitcoin, you spend Bitcoin to send it. Where it gets complicated is when there are tokens that are built on a blockchain, like Shiba Inu. Everybody knows the doggy. Shiba is built on Ethereum. And so if I'm going to send someone a Shiba, my Shiba tokens, I have to spend Ethereum to send it because it's the native currency. Another example would be XRP with RLUSD, which is the stable coin on the XRP ledger. I need to spend XRP in order to send RLUSD. This is where we start to talk about adoption and the value of XRP going up, because now companies and governments need to buy our XRP in order to send their RLUSD. That's where these things start to all connect together, and we start to see the value proposition that's being offered by the tokenization of stable coins and of precious metals, because they will need our XRP in order to use it. All right. JMR 696. You must have left out looks 14 in the AI description. You know, I did. I did not include that. I did not include that. Kathleen Miller, what is RLUSD? This is a very important one. Is it a crypto to buy? Kathleen Miller, you don't really need to worry about buying RLUSD. RLUSD is a stable coin pegged to the US dollar. One RLUSD is worth $1 US. Ripple Labs, the company, has bank accounts which are filled with US Treasury bonds and liquid cash. They use that to back your RLUSD. And so they issue 30 million RLUSD because they have $30 million in a bank account. It is a representation of what is being stored inside of a locked account. And so, Kathleen, the reason people would use this is for global trade. They would use it to store value. There's a variety of different reasons that you would want to have some stable coin, but for the average investor in cryptocurrency, you don't really have but so many reasons right now to be holding RLUSD. You're probably better off looking towards something else. Linda Blair, hi Zester. This is my first time here. Been listening to your pop-up for 3 years now, but was too scared to go look at crypto. Here I finally am, got some courage. Well, welcome, Linda Blair, and you are amongst good company. Do not worry here at all. We are glad to have you. Glad to have you. All right. I do, as I'm going through, I know I've got to include some of my different articles as well. And so I may have to jump forward and miss a few questions, and then I will jump right back to answering questions once we get through a few of these, because there are some pretty important news items for everyone to be aware of. So what we had been talking about earlier, Flare actually bringing on and providing for an option for XRP, wrapped XRP on their network. That is something that was announced June 1st. It is not live and ready yet. although the markets are very happy and the price of Flare is already going up on account of the announcement, it has not occurred yet. That's why I say we have something to be very excited about, but we don't have something to go through and do necessarily right away. But in the near future, us Americans should have an ability to actually stake and earn some passive income on our XRP. Matter of fact, Flare Network on June 1st announces exchanges can provide XRP holders access to high DeFi yields with Flare Networks. This one is quite exciting. Uphold is also busy working towards this as well, to my knowledge. And so we may end up having more than one option soon. And if people look far enough back in the wee old days, in the ancient times of crypto, which was like 5-6 years ago, we had the ability to stake and earn a passive income on our XRP. It all came down to the SEC and all the crazy court cases, forcing every centralized exchange to be terrified of US XRP holders. That is no longer the case, and so we have a lot to look forward to in that regard. All right, we did have a bit of a spat going on X. Matter of fact, just last night, late last night, actually, Coinbase CEO fears Bitcoin replaces the dollar if U.S. debt grows as Elon Musk calls for the firing of 215 Republicans. Yes, Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, also a major contributor to Republican candidates and pro-crypto candidates during the 2024 election, and a part of advisory councils for the Trump administration, came out and kind of really jumped off of something Elon Musk was saying. Elon Musk was pointing out that the big, beautiful bill and the current plans from a lot of the rhinos in terms of spending is not going to be fixed by the current Doge cuts that he's done. Ultimately, we still have far, 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 far more that needs to be cut out of the budget and out of spending before we're going to be on a path towards any type of financial solvency. We're not close yet. And what they kind of go back and forth with on this is that if the electorate does not hold Congress accountable to reducing the deficit and start paying down the debt, Bitcoin is going to take over as the reserve currency. Armstrong posted on X, I love Bitcoin, but a strong America is also super important for the world. We need to get our finances under control. Now, this comment was in direct response from the world of statistics showing U.S. national debt figures over time. Debt has soared from 5.7 trillion in 2000 to 36.9 trillion as of today. And it's even got the likes of Mr. Beast out there. For those that are not aware, probably the most famous of YouTube content creators, and etc. And also a young guy stating, we're just going to casually build up over $100 trillion in debt in our lifetimes, and people will just continue to be chill with it and loan us money. Oh, no, they won't. He's quite correct. They won't. They're going to stop. And we see a lot of this going back and forth because, well, Elon Musk retweeted the post and replied with an American flag emoji. Elon Musk has got quite a few opinions right now in regards to the Republican congressmen in terms of the things that were forced in to the big, beautiful bill. And, well, interest payments already consume 25% of all government revenue. If the massive deficit spending continues, there will only be money for interest payments and nothing else. This is a very kind of, this is something that I think Pops had actually talked about earlier, and that we talked about a decent amount, where we're making moves in the right direction, but ultimately we're treating a 5-story fire with a garden hose. And so we're doing the right thing. We're trying to put the fires out, but ultimately we have not come to an agreement as a society to the reality. We haven't gotten to a point where everyone is willing to accept the reality that we're in a terrible financial situation and that we are going to have massive, massive, earth shattering, earth changing alterations occur to the financial system in order to fix this. We cannot fix this by cutting just some of the corruption. Unfortunately, that's not even enough. And so this is one of those things that kind of lends towards that idea of why Bitcoin isn't going anywhere. Because think about it. Say we enact the perfect financial system. We go fully digital. Everyone is the custodian of their own wealth. Everyone is their own bank. Everyone is their own. They provide their own ownership. Truly, truly a whole new revolution for humankind in a world where we no longer would need a third party in order to validate our ownership of things. It really will change the world. Say we achieve that. At some point in time, governments will eventually try to take power back. And when they do, Bitcoin needs to be around because Bitcoin is what's going to hold them accountable. It's what's going to remind people that there's a better way. And in that regard, it's why the likes of Elon Musk and Brian Armstrong and others that are extremely, extremely intelligent are so worried about us not taking our financial situation seriously. If we don't, we're going to be replaced by these technologies. These technologies offer a lot of benefits to a lot of people. All right. Radiant Shalom. Hi, Zester. Do you have a video that goes deeper into choosing a hardware wallet that is good for XRP, Bitcoin, etc.? Radiant, I actually have. I've talked on that one a good bit. And I always say, if you already have a hardware wallet, check some reviews, make certain you use it properly. But I don't recommend going out and getting a different one. But if you have not gotten one, I would 100% say that Ledger, being the biggest company out there, that's what I use. That's what companies in the crypto space use. We use Ledger hardware wallets. I do have a link that will get you some free Bitcoin. Actually, in the description, it's in the link tree. And that will get you some free Bitcoin. And I'll also get some free Bitcoin if you decide to get something. But I would highly recommend, and here's where it breaks down. Do you use your computer? If you do all of your crypto on your computer, you need a Ledger Nano S Plus. If you do all of your crypto on your phone, you need a Ledger X or above. These are more expensive. The reason you need that is because this Nano S Plus does not have a battery. It does not have Bluetooth. The only way to use this is to physically plug it into a computer that can power it. And I like that. I do all my crypto on the computer. I don't like carrying around my crypto with me. I store my crypto in safe places. And so, if that's the situation for you, then a Nano S Plus is absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. But if you do use your phone, well, here's where things changed. Now, your Ledger wallet needs to have Bluetooth and it needs a battery. And so now it's changed. You need those functionalities in order to use your phone. And so in that regard, you're going to have to spring for the more expensive hardware wallet. But I would say Radiant, I've had great reviews from Tangam wallets, great reviews from Trezor wallets. I just recommend the one that I use because I have like a dozen of these things. And I've never had one fail me. I've never had an issue. And I have been paid to set them up for people before. And so I feel comfortable with the one that's tried and true. Does that mean it will always be tried and true? It might not. But they've got a pretty spotless track record. If you treat it right and you follow the rules, you're not going to have an issue. At least I never have. And I've done a lot of transactions and a lot with Ledger wallets. So that's one I would recommend right there. Quantum healing, QQQ. I forgot where my link is to share Ledger with friends. Actually, that's a good one, because as folks are out there and say you are setting up a ledger, that is something cool that you can do. You can, once you have a ledger, you can come over here to refer a friend in your Ledger Live, and you can actually set yourself up to have your own little referral account. And so you actually come right here to refer a friend in Ledger Live, and then you'll be able to send someone your own personal link and earn yourself some free Bitcoin. You absolutely can. All right, coming up for air, QQQ. What backs Bitcoin? It is not ISO compliant. All right, I get this one so often, and it's such a difficult question to really answer in the best way. It really is. This is one of those questions where it takes it's understanding the value of a certain technology. And in that regard, what backs Bitcoin is the blockchain. The blockchain is what backs Bitcoin, because the blockchain is 100% decentralized. It is pre-designed, it is preset, it has specific rules that cannot be broken. And in that regard, Bitcoin is viewed by the crypto adopters and the early adopters as being the ultimate form of libertarian value and currency, because it is backed because we say it is backed. The holders of Bitcoin are shareholders, stockholders on the Bitcoin blockchain. The miners in Bitcoin are shareholders and stockholders in Bitcoin. It's backed by the code. And that, from anything that we're typically used to, it's not tangible. But remember, it's this technology that allows for us to tokenize and solidify those ISO compliant tokens and coins. They are only possible because of the technology of Bitcoin. It's only possible. And so Bitcoin could be ISO compliant. It's actually not that hard. Bitcoin has even propositioned it and placed it up for vote in the past to become an ISO compliant option. It was voted down. It was voted down because it was not viewed as important. I think that there needs to be an understanding when it comes to the ISO designation. That is a compliancy. It is not a technology. All cryptos, well, just about all cryptos could be ISO compliant. Not all of them are yet, but all of them can be. And so whenever we worry about this ISO thing, don't worry about it. It's not something to worry about. Because ultimately, if it ever comes to a point where it is forced, the other blockchains will just add the compliance. It's not a hurdle. They're just not doing it because they don't need to. It's kind of like the whole idea of car companies started adding seatbelts before seatbelts were required in all 50 states. They started adding seatbelts because they knew it was going to be required in the future. And so it made sense to go ahead and start investing that money in order to do it. But ultimately, they didn't have to. And so some cars didn't. And that's what we're looking at here. ISO is something that may be required, probably will be required, but they're planning on adding it when they have to add it. They're not planning on adding it ahead of time. And so that's just something that I think is an important one to kind of keep in mind. And there's a whole lot more nuance to that topic than I just really expressed. And so do understand there's a far deeper conversation to get into there with ISO. But I feel like from a, first impression, you're just looking at everything crypto and you're trying to figure out which things to be worried about. I would not place that as a high worry. I would place far more a worry on fundamental value of the companies. Are these blockchains, are these cryptos solving a real world problem? Are they profitable? Those are the things to really look at if you're trying to look at this situation from a fundamental standpoint. I always use Chainlink as an example. Chainlink is a cryptocurrency, a token built on Ethereum that provides API services to other tokens and cryptos. What does that mean? That means Chainlink takes real world data in real time and puts it onto the blockchain, and it takes blockchain data in real time and puts it into the real world. It merges these two different systems together. And if I want access to blockchain data, I need Chainlink. Chainlink is not compliant with anything, but the projects that it helps run are ISO projects. And so they're utilizing a service from a company that leads at the forefront of the industry by a long shot that is necessary for it to work. Ripple cannot sell tokenized gold if they do not have real world, instantaneous, immediate access to all gold pricing data from around the world. And so guess what they have to do? They have to go talk to Chainlink about it. That's a fundamental value. That is a company that's got it figured out. Are they an ISO token? No. But the ISO tokens can't exist without them. And so there's a lot of other nuances going on here that they make it particularly confusing. And I totally get that. I totally get that. All right. Looking for more questions. And well, let me also jump over here. As some more questions come in, I've got some articles and I've got some stuff I really wanted to show everyone in particular. So for those out there that keep up with the information on Trump-related cryptocurrencies, please be very, very, very careful. This is new information, and this is something that they will absolutely target at us. Remember, Trump family denies involvement in new wallet launch. The Trump token, the Trump meme token, has just announced that they are releasing the official Trump wallet. Now, Eric Trump and the Trump family is stating this project is not authorized by the Trump family, and it is not a Trump product. And so for those that are seeing anything out there about a Trump wallet, please do be wary, as the Trump family says it ain't theirs and they do not approve of it. And so that is just something as a public service announcement that I wanted to make certain was out there. Be very, very, very cautious about anything that has the Trump name on it. It does not necessarily mean that Trump himself backs it. All right. And continuing on, some of these articles we're kind of going to hit through pretty quickly, but South Korean media firm to raise $500 million for Bitcoin treasury. This is just a continuation of what we've been seeing over the past year now. Companies, countries are starting to back up everything with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. This is only going to accelerate. We are going to see more and more and more corporations, banks, companies, etc. Everything from NGOs and nonprofits to full state actors are going to be buying and backing up their treasuries with cryptocurrencies. This one happens to be Bitcoin, but I would not expect it to stay in only Bitcoin. We'll see XRP treasuries start to form, and Ethereum treasuries and Solana treasuries, all being used in order to back up what they're doing in business. Here's a fun one, and I figured this one might be interesting for folks out there. How to use ChatGPT to turn crypto news into trade signals. Crypto traders can use ChatGPT to decode crypto headlines and generate actionable trade setups. Fast, flexible, and surprisingly accurate, subject to human verification. But what this article actually goes through, and this is something that's been going on for a while, is that what people will do is they will go through and they will get all the crypto news of the day. They'll go around the internet. They'll find it all. They'll copy and paste it all over. And then they'll feed it into ChatGPT, So they'll paste it into a ChatGPT conversation, and they'll tell ChatGPT to analyze the data and to give them an actionable trade signal in order to make an investment for the day. And that's what people have been doing for the past like 2.5, 3 years. They've been doing that with ChatGPT and with other AI tools. I thought this one was just a fun one for people to kind of know that it's happening, because I so often see there are these advertised AI trading programs. Please, if you really want AI to generate you a trade signal, you do not need to pay someone to do it. You just need to go ahead and log into Grok or log into ChatGPT and start asking it questions. I would highly recommend not always following what it says, but it can be a very, very helpful tool in breaking down the numbers. And so you can literally go in, take all of the trades, all the information from the day, feed it in to the AI and say, hey, AI, what do you think's going on? This is where the future of analysis is going very soon. And it's already happening. You're not going to have many humans actually giving you an opinion on what they think is going to happen. You're going to have humans who asked a very specific prompt to an artificial intelligence, and then they're going to share what the AI told them. All right, though. World Liberty Financial, another one from the Trump family. World Liberty Financial airdrops 47 USD1 stablecoin and symbolic stimulus nod to Donald Trump. So World Liberty Financial's campaign rewarded early backers with $47. I guess that's nice. It was definitely symbolic, being the 47th president, 45th and 47th. That they would hand out $47, but it at least shows that there was some reason to potentially buy a little bit of World Liberty Financial, because they issued that in USD1, which is World Liberty Financial's stablecoin. Another stablecoin competing on the market, competing with the likes of RLUSD, USDT, USDC. The list goes on and on. DAI, a long list. All right. Brad Garlinghouse denies Ripple's reported $5 billion bid to acquire Circle. Ripple Labs, the company, has been very busy over the past months buying different financial services. And so this one's not surprising. And honestly, I don't believe Brad. I believe that Ripple is trying to buy Circle. Circle happens to be the company that is partnered with Coinbase in order to provide USDC, which is the largest US stablecoin, where all the money is guaranteed to be held in US banks. USDT is the largest stablecoin, but the vast majority of those dollars are actually held in banks in China or outside of the US. All right. Hey, Trump-linked platform, Truth Social, files for spot Bitcoin ETF. Truth Social may be offering you a Bitcoin ETF very, very soon. According to the June 3rd filing, this is something that'll be interesting to keep up with. You may be able to go through and participate in a Bitcoin ETF through Trump Social, which would be unique, I suppose. But it's really a clear indication of where the Trump family is at on this. And I think for all those that have kind of been worried about Bitcoin, Trump and the family have really shown us to, as clear as they possibly can, they plan on Bitcoin being around. They also just plan on these other cryptos getting much larger and being far more competitive. All right, now for a odd one to actually finish off for today. Let me make certain that I did this properly, but I would like to share the first part of this video for those that are not aware of the new AI that has come out with Google's VO3. I was going to end off today's stream actually playing a little bit of an AI-generated movie. This is only going to play for a little bit. Hopefully, I don't end up aggravating how to in 5 minutes by playing a little bit of their video, but I thought this was a very, very interesting thing for everyone to see. I do like to talk technology also, and AI is in the same category as blockchain technology. Artificial intelligence and blockchain technology are going to be the two major factors that change how our world works. And well, AI just made quite the little jump in terms of what it's capable of doing. So let me play this for just a few minutes, and then I will say goodbye after that one.
Live from the city of Troy, they've just claimed the winner's trophy.
Let's park it inside.
Reporting live from the deck. Someone playing the war horn like it's karaoke night at Valhalla.
Brave warrior!
What is your great strategy to crush enemy today?
Easy, just with a single prompt.
Reporting live from Alexander the Great's war. I just saw a soldier try to conquer a sandwich.
I said, take the hill! Oh no, I told them to bake a grill!
Do you believe in Darwin's theory?
Only if it explains my ex-driving.
Why did you stop invading Earth?
It's not worth it. This planet is full of brain rot.
Here we go. Yeah, and I thought that was, and it's just a little clip there at the beginning, the guy kind of showing off just how crazy it can be. And I will, for those that want to be able to share that one around and show people around on social media how crazy the technology has gotten. I was not surprised to see the Google Veo 3 footage and efforts, but I continue to forever be amazed by just how impossible it is to tell that none of that was real. Everything inside of that was made with a prompt. And that's literally, they wrote words out, described what they wanted, and then the artificial intelligence did all of that. Those people are not real. They've never existed. And yet that's where the technology has gotten. I've got that link shared in the chat for anyone that does want to check it out. And then, yeah, with all of that said, guys, thank you so much for joining this morning. Looking forward to maintaining the morning schedule. And so please do come on back. We're going to be having fun on our Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. For now, we're going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That may change in the future, but we're going to be doing mornings. So thank you all so much for joining. Love you. Please do hit the like, hit the comment, hit the subscribe. And for those that are interested, there will be an announcement probably on Friday that will be opening up a page to actually book singular hours or multiple hour sessions for us to do one-on-one crypto. Whether that's setting up your wallet, whether that's talking about balancing your portfolio, whether that's just asking random questions and learning more. Whatever it is that you want to do with that time, I'm going to be setting up that service. And so I'm going to be booking out about 10 hours a week in order to actually be scheduled out to do that. I will be reducing work hours in order to take those scheduled bookings. So I am, I'm excited about it because I get to do something that's far more fun, but also it's probably going to be a learning curve as I make that shift over. And so I will see everyone tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Whiskey and Wisdom on the original Mark Z, but also again Friday at 11:30 a.m., where we'll be back talking about what's going on in the crypto space. All right, though, guys. Thank you all so much for joining. Once again, love you so much, and I will see you soon.